Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. This is going to be my Warcraft pre-patch Destruction Warlock DPS guide. And we're going to be covering tier set interactions, talents, single target AOE, talents, rotations, stat weights a little bit here and there, so on and so forth, and everything you need to know about Destro Lock in Warcraft pre-patch. If you guys see any Week Wars add-ons went in the video, there's links to my Twitch and Discord down below where you can get them all for free. At the same time, the MMO Awards voting. MMO Awards, let's try that again. Voting's underway. If you guys if you guys want to vote, and if for me or anybody in general that's nominated, MMOawards.com is where you can do it. It is the final stage. If you guys voted before, this is the final stage. You want to vote again. It ends in about 2 weeks, and yeah, I appreciate support regardless. And also, if you guys are interested in the Warcraft Beta Warlock spreadsheet, it is indeed now live on Patreon for the Tier 3 Felgar rank or higher for early access. It does go live in public before the expansion launches anyway, so don't worry about that. If you want to wait a little while, if you want early access, that is that. And yeah, let's jump right on into it. Alrighty, so getting into tier bonuses, Destro's tier bonus is indeed working in pre-patch. I am on beta now. Pre-patch PTR has been down for like 4 days now. I don't know why, but it's all working. This is 70 character that I copied over and all of that. Now, unlike Demonology and Affliction that have interactions with talents like Doom and Malign Omen, Destro got its Season 1 bonus. It won the voting basically for S4, so it's still here. No talent interactions. The set is consuming soul shards, you know, via Rain of Fire or Chaos Bolt, Shadow Burn if you ever cast it. The chance to grant Chaos Maelstrom, increasing your crit by 15% for 10 seconds. And the 4-piece, your crit strikes deal 212% damage instead of the usual 200. So it's a flat, just hit your buttons like normal, set it and forget it bonus. No talent interactions, really any of that. What you see is what you get, basically. It's a damage increase, and that is that. Not much else to say. So let's get into talents. Alright, so when it comes to secondary stats for Destro Lock and Warcraft pre-patch, they've typically all been pretty close to one another. Sims aren't done yet, which we'll talk about in a minute here in talent builds as well. But when we've run Sims in the past for Destro, like stat weights and things, they've typically all been pretty close to one another. If you just wanted to have a set stat weight, what's what I'm looking for? Like value, you can go like haste, then crit is equal to mastery, and then verse. But realistically, wait for Sims to be done. Hopefully they're implemented in a few days. People that are smarter than me write them. I can't do it. I wish I knew how, but I don't. But either way, hopefully in a few days they'll be done, and we'll know more then. But until now, that's what we're going with. When it comes to Destro talent builds, so I've got 3 to 4 to show you guys here. I'm gonna try and speed through them. A little more complicated than other builds, not rotationally, just like a lot of choices here. Once again, Sims are not done yet, but I think we've locked in on pretty much what is close to being best, if not best, in basically every setting by playing it over the course of beta and pre-patch PTR and all of that. This is going to be Destro single target. So in the first talent, I guess, section up here, you have to path through your AOE abilities, whether it's Rain of Fire, Seed, or Implosion for all 3 specs for Warlock to get down to your tree further. People don't like that, but at the same time, Destro and Demo all have 1-point talents only in their trees. There's no 2-point talent nodes. So, I mean, you can basically get whatever you want for the most part. I wouldn't mind having, like, Havoc node here, Path in the Scalding and Indeterminate Flames, but it is what it is. So we're pathing into Rain of Fire, grabbing Cataclysm here. We are indeed playing Immolate still. No hero talents in pre-patch, no wither or anything. If you need to reapply your Immolate and you have Cataclysm off cooldown, it is worth casting Cataclysm to reapply the Immolate in single target. Just to mention that, versus casting Immolate manually. But often you're going to reapply it via Soulfire. We'll get to that though. We're playing a point in Scalding Flames, a point in Indiscriminate, Backlash, Roaring Blaze here. Heading down here more, you're playing a point in Ashen. Summoner's Embrace, just it's the 3% aura buff, you play it everywhere. You're playing a point in EP, reduce conflict cooldown, playing Conflagration of Chaos, which is nice. Not long having to path through Shadowburn to get that, very cool. Ember Storm, Infernal, CDF row here. CDF, Raging Demon Fire Mastery. The cool thing with CDF, and people don't always love the ability, but the cool thing about CDF is that there's a cool interaction with Soulfire. CDF launches bolts. Raging Demon Fire launches even more bolts. It also extends your Immolate, which is nice, but those bolts can all crit, and when they all crit, they give you a chance to reset Soulfire via Decimation. Soulfire, reduce cast time, all that, Decimation proc, gives you a shard, applies Immolate. You have a lot of Soulfire procs if you high roll. Even low rolling, you cast one every 28 seconds. It's pretty fun to play with a really fast cast time. It's a good, I guess, combination, good synergy, fun to play with. Besides that, moving on to Eradication, Infernal, Entropy. So you can play Internal Combustion in single target. It's better with more haste. For me currently on retail before pre-patch, it's about 1,000 DPS gain over entropy, but the rotation is miserable. I think I'm not playing it in pre-patch. You can play it if you want in single target. Go for it, have fun, wholeheartedly. I'm not playing it. If it's better in progression in War Within, like by a decent margin, we'll play it. But it changes your rotation a lot when it comes to having to reapply immolates a lot more because your bolt consumes 5 seconds of immolate whenever it hits. I don't like it a whole lot. Once again, hey, we'll see where it goes. I'm playing entropy here all around. Certainly in AoE and things too. But besides that, heading into Ruin, Ritual of Ruin here as well, heading into Ritualist and Avatar Destruction. This is an over Fiend now. Basically a green Smolderon, launches Chaos Bolts and gives you shards whenever he's active, which is nice, more shard gen. Burn to Ashes, not casting a whole lot of Incinerate with this build as much as we usually do, but still good buff to Incinerate damage whenever it fires off. You also have a crit chance increase here to Incinerate whenever you have Backdraft, increase the damage of Chaos Bolt, increase the crit chance of your Incinerate. There you go. Whenever you cast Conflict Rate, which is reduced by EP. You have improved Chaos Bolt here. You have Chaos Incarnate here. Soulfire and Decimation. I've heard some debate about this being better than Chaos Incarnate. I'm not sure, haven't run the math on it a whole lot. Most people have at least agreed initially who I've talked to that this is probably better, but we'll see where Sims go. I'm not sure, they're not ready, but I think this is pretty close to being best, if not best in single target, depending what you want to do. Now, the cool thing about this build, and the next build I'm going to show you here, which is a Havoc Cleave based build, is that not much changes at all if you want Havoc Cleave. Check this out. 1 talent moves to Havoc. So you get a good cleave profile with Brand of Fire and Cataclysm regardless when it comes to single target if you want some AoE like abilities, right? When you want Havoc on fights like Huntsman Altamore or Silken Court or these Havoc Cleave based fights, I pulled a point here out of Demon Fire Mastery to put it into Havoc, and if you want Rolling Havoc, you can pull a point out of probably like Conflagration of Chaos, maybe to go over here. This is a good ability, it's hard to say. This point's harder to find than this point. I think you can flex here pretty easily. You still get CDF and RDF for Soulfire resets, but Havoc is like pretty easy to find. Rolling is sort of harder to find. It's rank 1 Rolling Havoc, not incredibly strong. It's Havoc's cooldown or duration has been reduced. You don't have like the Havoc into Pandemonium into Rolling Havoc path that you have on retail. Pandemonium gave you a longer Havoc. This is just a shorter Havoc. And Rolling Havoc at, 1% per stack, not 2, like you do on retail. So I'm not incredibly happy about Rolling Havoc. I wish it was 2% per stack and not 1. So I might just skip it in a lot of Havoc-based settings. M+, all that, as well. But either way, if you want it, probably pull a point out of Conflagration. Can't really pull it here or anything. So Conflagration, I wouldn't pull RDF because the synergy with Soulfire and go from there. You can indeed Havoc Soulfires. They do give 2 shards, double immolate applications, very strong. But besides that, it's basically the single target build you're going to play. So if you have a target you want to cleave onto, put your Havoc up and execute single target. Pretty solid. I want to note here, I'm not playing Flashpoint in single target or Havoc Cleave based builds. When it comes to AoE based builds, I'll show you the one right here I'm going to play initially. I have 2 more to show you. I am playing Flashpoint, but I'm not sold on it at all. And I'm only playing it here because I don't have hero talents unlocked. In War Within, you've got a talent right here. It's called Seeds of Their Demise for Hellcaller. That gives you flashpoint stacks whenever you do damage, basically, with Wither. It's complicated, but TLDR, I'm not playing it all in any build in War Within. And I'm skeptical of playing it here, but I wanted it in AoE because, like, it is a bit of haste. 6% at max stacks versus 12. I believe it's 12 currently on retail. It's only rank 1 in War Within. I will mention that this point can easily go into Fire and Brimstone. I'll probably play this over this realistically on retail because Incinerate Cleaves, they made it 25%, which is rank 2 currently before pre-patch, at rank 1 in pre-patch. They potentially buffed it. Indiscriminate Flames, also new and works with this. Burn to Ashes, it is rank 1, but it does indeed buff Fire and Brimstone based Incinerates. They do hit for a good bit, but I don't cast a tremendous amount of Incinerates in AoE anymore due to like Soulfire, Shard, Gen, which you are playing in AoE, at least I am in this build. Overfiend spawning, the changes to Inferno and Kata, or I guess Inferno, so on and so forth. Now, I do want to backtrack here a bit too. So I do have Kata in this build. They've changed the way Inferno works. It now makes Rain of Fire cost 2 soul shards instead of giving you shards whenever it does damage. I think if you're in a heavy AoE setting, you're still going to want to play Inferno very likely. I'm playing Kata here because, I like Kata. It isn't that bad. There is the cool like Kata into CDF interaction here, and the more Kata or more immolates you have active, the higher chance you get to reset Soulfires. But at the same time, the more rate of fires you have rolling, which is later on down the line, costing 2 shards, the more chance you get to reset Soulfire as well. So I'm probably going to lean more towards Inferno and heavy AoE again. You got to sort of see where it goes and play it, and I guess play it out and see where it lands. I played both a good bit on beta, and I think they're both pretty close. I'm leaning towards Inferno a little bit when it comes to mass AoE and all that, like I said, but even in like lower to mid-tier keys, rate of fire costing 2 shards is nice versus 3. So Inferno is a bit more of a universally relevant talent now. Play what you want either way here. It's pre-patch, doesn't matter a whole lot. I'm probably going to lean Inferno, higher keys, Kata, and lower to mid, but have fun. The big thing I want to hit on here, going down pathing-wise, I am indeed playing Soulfire in this build with CDF. So we're not playing Shadowborn anywhere. I don't think this is a very good row here. I mean, it's fine, but like, it's just sort of niche. Soulfire, you get a lot of Soulfire resets in AoE with CDF, with whether you're playing Kata or Inferno, you're casting Rate of Fire, you're cleaving a lot. You get a lot of Soulfire resets. The shard gen it gives you is very strong in AoE. I'm also playing Mayhem in this build. You can play either or. When I'm playing Soulfire, with the shard gen I'm getting, so on and so forth, I feel like I'm often GCD locked, because Havoc is on the GCD. I want to cleave in AoE, in Mythic Plus. Havoc is controlled cleave, Mayhem is random cleave. But I feel like I'm often, okay, I got a Soulfire proc, Havoc's off cooldown, cast Havoc, then try cleave a Soulfire, giving me 2 shards. I'm overcapping because I'm waiting on GCDs and things are getting backlogged more and more with more procs coming in, capping out on shards. I have Fire and Brimstones I want to dump with Burn to Ashes. I've been leaning towards playing Mayhem. It's like a more fun kind of thing with Soulfire. In the end, Havoc is likely better in the long run for like control cleave, but Soulfire brings a lot of shard gen playing this build. A bit more funnel damage. It does hit pretty hard. It hits harder than Chaos Bolt does, right? You're getting multiple procs. In between Soulfire, Decimation, with CDF giving you basically permanent immolates, whether you're playing Kata or manually applying them, and Overfiend spawning so often whenever you get rituals with Rain of Fire spam, giving you shards as well. You've got a lot of shards as Destro. I'm often coming close to overcapping, if not overcapping from time to time. So, and like Soulfire, obviously, cleaving it, whether it's through Mayhem or Havoc, gives you 2 shards. Even on its own, it gives you 1 shard. So you've got a lot of shard gen with Destro and AoE. Once again, you can play whatever you want. So a couple of choices you got to make here, either Kata or Inferno, Mayhem or Havoc, and, you know, I guess Fire and Brimstone or Flashpoint, right? Now, for those that don't want to play Soulfire, say, I don't want to deal with it in Plus, I don't want to play it, whatever, is what it is. I have a 4th build here. I'll link in the comment section as well as this video. AoE, no Soulfire. I don't even know why I changed here, sure, whatever I did. AoE, no Soulfire. So let me change this after this. There we go. No Soulfire. So I'm pulling out a Soulfire. I'm putting a point in Havoc, putting a point in Power Overwhelming, a point in Flashpoint, which again can flex to here, whatever you want. And I'm putting a point in Pyrogenics. You can thank Zerbu for this. We were discussing it a bit too as well. So I think this point goes here personally, whatever, you can play what you want. I'm not playing Soulfire here. You can play Mayhem if you want still, whatever. I swapped the Havoc for this, but if people don't want the Soulfire, having to weave it kind of in AoE synergy with CDF and all the crits coming in and all that, it's fine. Just play this. Basically, you're playing Destro with Kata or Inferno, CDF, playing Power Overwhelming for more mastery coming in, more damage. Havoc, and the main difference here, you're playing Pyrogenics for more, you know, AoE, whenever you're, I guess fire damage whenever you're casting Rain of Fire. So this build's simpler. This is very close to what we played in S3 for Destro, without rifts. It's basically Destro with CDF, but it channels faster, does more damage. It's not like it's a huge source of your damage, but it's there. I think it's worth spending the points in. It's either here or you take these points and put them in, like, I don't know, like EP and Conflagration Chaos, which is okay, but like, you know, you could do this theoretically, not play CDF, not play Soulfire, but I feel like you're just like trying to cook too much here, and in the end, sort of whatever. So there are ways you can customize Destro. I'll link these 4 builds below. If you want to go full on no CDF, no Soulfire, you can even do this. But I'm going to start personally with the Soulfire CDF build I showed you in the previous build before, and go from there for week 1. But in the end, I want to encourage you guys as well that it's pre-patch. We'll know more when sims are done, and in general, these builds are going to change a lot when we actually have Warcraft in, when we have hero talents, like things like, you know, Seeds of Their Demise giving you baseline flash, or giving you flashpoint procs, right, versus having a talent into it. So it'll all change soon. Have fun, play what you want, and the builds are down below if you want them. Let's look at combat briefly for single target and AoE. All right, so looking at Destro and single target here, we are indeed playing this build. We're playing the Soulfire CDF synergy and all of that. Destro in single target, a lot of it is about reacting to Soulfire procs and spending shards appropriately and not overcapping. If you want this week war, they have them on my screen. Twitch, Discord links down below. You can get it all for free and all that kind of stuff. But you'll see the RNG of Soulfire with resets and all that, depending on CDF procs and, well, all that. So I'm gonna hit this on me here. So I'm gonna precast with Soulfire. We're pulling the boss. Long cast time, but it will indeed apply Immolate and give me a shard on pull. So we're gonna do that. Precast Soulfire here into my Infernal. I'm gonna Conflagrate, trinkets, whatever you want here, potions, this and that. Cast my Chaos Bolt. I'm gonna CDF. Did I get a Soulfire reset? I did not. It's right there. Chaos Bolt, Conflagrate, Chaos Bolt. There's a Soulfire reset. Cast that. There's a shard. Conflagrate, Chaos Bolt. Cast an Incinerate or two. One there. Cast a Chaos Bolt. Got a Conflagrate here. Cast a Bolt, free one there from Ritual of Ruin. Cast Incinerate. Gonna cast Chaos Bolt. Cast CDF. Soulfire reset. Launch that. Conflagrate. Gonna Bolt. Gonna overcap on charge. So I'm lagging. That's okay. Gonna Bolt twice here. And keep going. Now, that's basically it. Honestly, the opener depends a little bit on Soulfire resets. At times, you'll cast an extra Soulfire. If you get a reset off your first CDF, at times you won't. At times you'll get, multiple refunds from Soul Conduit back to back. You'll cast multiple Chaos Bolts, sometimes you won't. At a CDF here, hope for a Soulfire reset. We got it. We're going to cast 2 almost back to back. Cast that. You can see how fast the cast of Soulfire is too. It's fun to play with. At the same time, CDF gives you Immolate duration extensions. Soulfire applies Immolate passively whenever you cast it, right? I am rarely, ever having to manually cast my Immolate or reapply it, right? Right there, Soulfire reset again. Just Soulfire, half a minute on Immolate. I've got CDF in 10 seconds again, right? There's been times, honestly, a good portion of the time, I don't really even cast Immolate in general. I precast Soulfire to apply it, and that's it. I'll just cast CDFs, and they'll extend my Immolate till I get a Soulfire reset by a CDF or other abilities, too. It's not just Soul or CDF that resets Soulfire. Chaos Bolt always crits. Gives me a chance to reset Soulfire. Incinerates, Conflagrates, they can crit, too, and also reset Soulfire. But CDF, with all the little bolts that it fires out, each individual one that you fire gives you a separate chance to reset Soulfire. So CDF here, all the little bolts right there, there's Soulfire, right? So the big thing, playing around shard overcapping, you can see here, Destro's got a lot more shard. It's a lot more fluent. I don't even have flashpoint stacks here. It flows really well. It's fun to play in single target as long as you react to Soulfire procs properly. But the opener may change a bit depending on Soulfire resets, shard gen, Soul Conduit refunds, which is the talent right here. Gives you shards back, maybe cast, Bolt or Rain of Fire or whatever, a chance to get it. Either way, if you played it on retail or all on Dragonflight, it's similar but improved. And they did a good job with Soulfire, finally making it fun. Now, I do want to hit very briefly on the Havoc Cleave build here in council-based settings and all that. We are playing Havoc here, which is a shorter duration than it is currently in Dragonflight, no Pandemonium, but to show how Soulfire works to Havoc and all that, we're going to open up here, right? So let's say there's 2 targets here, like Silken Court, whatever, as an example, like in upcoming raid, Nerva Palace. I'm going to precast a Soulfire on one of these 2, typical opener. I'm going to do this, put my Infernal down, basically. I'm going to Conflagrate one of them, go over here, Immolate the other one, then put out my Havoc, and just start cleaving. I'm going to dump shards here, dump 1 shard, Conflagrate, dump another shard, add a Chaos Bolt, try and get a Soulfire reset. We got it. Watch the Soulfire cleave here if I can get it off in time. Double Soulfires, double shards back. Now, when it comes to that, we got to reset again, actually, there. 2 Soulfires back to back. Whether you have a Soulfire or not, you just want to dump as many, essentially, Chaos Bolts and Conflagrates and things during that window as possible. There are times you'll get multiple Soulfire resets during your window, which gives 2 shards, is casting 2 Soulfires in the Havoc window, right? So, playing around shard gen and all that in those windows can be very tough. At times, you might overcap a little bit, just dump it as fast as possible. It is what it is. It's the nature of Soulfire and Havoc windows and just things in general. At times, you don't have any Soulfires in your Havoc window, and that's okay. You can also use Havoc in a different manner at times for shard gen and things like AOE, which we'll look at right now. All right, so I'm going to show you the AOE build Destro here. I have opted to play the Soulfire CDF build here to show you the shard gen. I am playing Havoc or Mayhem once again. Mayhem might be the angle with Soulfire due to GCD just, I guess, capping, overlocking, the annoying part of it, whatever. But I'm playing Havoc for Control Cleave, whatever, play what you want. At the same time, I'm playing Kata over Inferno here, just to show how good the shard gen is, regardless, without playing Inferno. It has been changed, doesn't give shard gen anymore, but it is 2 shards versus 3 for Rain of Fire is playing Inferno, so it's like, I want to show y'all here how Soulfire is with Havoc Cleave, with CDF, Cataclysm, so on and so forth. Now, if you are like heading into M+, and you're playing Inferno over Kata, and your tank's pulling the pack and rounding it up, throw a few immolates out on 3 or 4 targets here. When they're rounded up, you get some rolling. If you're playing Kata, just you can throw 1 or 2 out, but then hey, yo, just going right on in with a Cataclysm, right? So the tank's pulled the pack, let's say, it's rounded up. We're getting ready to start AOEing. I'm gonna go in, cast a Cataclysm, put my Infernal down, into a CDF real fast here. Dump Rain of Fire, Havoc, Soulfire right there, and we're at 5 shards. Conflagrate, Rain of Fire, cast that again, cast 1 Incinerate here, Rain of Fire, hoping for a Soulfire reset in 2 seconds here with CDF, hopefully we'll get it. There's one there beforehand, throw us a Soulfire out, CDF, hope for a Soulfire again, we got it, Rain of Fire, throw a Soulfire, Rain of Fire. You don't want to sit on the Soulfires for a long time either, because the longer you do, you may get another proc within a second or two, because you have so many different sources of damage rolling, right? Go back to my Havoc window, throw down a Rain of Fire, Conflagrate, Soulfire, 2 shards here, back at 5 shards, Rain of Fire, CDF, hope for a Soulfire reset, we got it, launch it again in a Havoc window, Rain of Fire, Soulfire again, 3 Soulfires in a Havoc window, Rain of Fire, Conflagrate. You can see how crazy Soulfire can be. Not just for the funnel damage that it brings, I mean, I'm funneling this thing down, but also like the shard gen that it brings too. You get so many shards, whether you cast Soulfire in a Havoc window or not. And that's why I'm saying at times, maybe when I just want to play Mayhem, the procs randomly and gives me 2 soul shards, but if it's up when I'm casting a Soulfire, great. If not, I get 1 still regardless. But the shard gen you get playing Kata and not playing Inferno, which does give you less, you know, it's 2 shards versus 3 for Inferno, is still wild, which makes me lean a bit more towards wanting to play Cataclysm. But at the same time, Inferno is 2 shards for Rain of Fire versus 3, and also gives you a buff to Rain of Fire's damage. So both feel good, but this build with Soulfire feels like the glue that holds Destro together, which is weird to say because the ability was so awkward for a long time everywhere, but the interaction between CDF, RDF, Soulfire, and Decimation is really strong in single target, in Havoc Cleave, in AOE. It feels really good. And does it look busy? Yes. When you get the flow of it and everything, it just feels good. And when you get, like, when you know how it feels, when you can control the procs, barring Insane Orange, you get right there, it just feels good. You can play with it, the shard gen's solid, and honestly, it feels like how old Destro did with Insane, you know, shard gen via Inferno, old Inferno, because Soulfire shard gen is insane, and the whole spec flow is better in general now too, with, you know, cast time reductions, certain things here and there, and just how well everything feels. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully the video answered any questions you might have had on Destro Warlock heading into War Within pre-patch in, well, about a day or so now, depending when you're watching this video. I'm gonna be honest, I think the way Destro plays feels pretty good. I think it's the lowest tuned overall, at least when it comes to beta, compared to the demo and AF, but it's a lot of fun. It's fast, it's fluent, it feels good, and the Soulfire weaving is really cool too. I like the playstyle, so hopefully I get to play it a bit in Raid in the next week or two, and we'll see where launch goes. Basically a month, about a month from now until the expansion launches, which is utterly insane. Any week or add-ons on the video if you want them for free. Links to my Twitch and Discord down below, you can get them. At the same time, I want to give a huge shout out, like always, to my patrons. For all support on Patreon, y'all, thank you a million times. Like always, I greatly appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, it should be a link up here, as well as down below in the video description. And the War Within Beta Warlock spreadsheet is indeed live on Patreon if you want early access to that at the Tier 3 Felguard rank or higher. Now, we're getting pre-patch in a day or so. They've already been doing tuning past, like, pre-patch stuff on beta, some buffs, or some nerfs to Affliction, some buffs to hero talents here and there. We don't have hero talents active in pre-patch, obviously, but I would expect there to be some tuning regardless, at least a bit more on beta before the expansion goes live. So, if Destro isn't doing great when it comes to pre-patch, I wouldn't put a whole lot of merit into that, because we're going to see tuning still. There might even be more raid testing on beta, depending where it all goes. So I'd encourage you to have fun in pre-patch. Play what you want, play what you like. They're all fun. They've all been reworked in a pretty solid way, I think. And yeah, I'm excited to enjoy Lock again on retail. All that being said, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.